I reckon there's a pre-season game that's got to be handy where you can draw a contrast to the players in the first half and the second half and what it produces. Did you got a feel on why it would be so contrasting?
Not really. That first half was as scrappy as a game of footy as I've seen in a long time, and I'm sure most people at home would have switched off or put something else on TV if they were watching at home. That was, two sides probably making fundamental errors and drop marks and missed kicks, and it was very sloppy. And I guess from our point of view, much better in the second half. And good to see us tackle well, good to see us win some clearances, good to see us, I think we're plus 13 in contested ball in the last quarter, so much better around the contest, much cleaner finish to the game. And we needed to change something at half-time, so very happy with the players, the way that they responded.
In terms of that change, was it a change of mentality, or did you think you had to actually change up the way they played?
A combination of both. We shifted some guys around to some different positions, and we really called upon our younger players to, to lift us in that second half. And we saw McKernan. I thought it was very good tonight, probably as good a game as I've seen him play, even though he was short in game time. But his energy was fantastic. He gave us something around stoppages and clearances, and then of course he kicked 3 goals for us. So Cam Ellis-Yolman, Scotty Thompson back to really good form. First game we've seen him this year, and look really sharp. Matty Wright puts another good game in. So combination of lots of things, but just happy to play some decent footy. Didn't flirt with our form after half time, and really put the foot down, which was nice.
Second term, it looked like the team was going to be just carried again by Rory Sloane. Is that message getting through that you can't? Adelaide's not a team that can just leave it at 2 or 3 blokes. Like Douglas is always consistent, Sloane carries you, but that's
Douglas
not going to get
Sloane
you there.
Were both outstanding again for us across the board tonight. We rested Douglas in that last quarter. Even Podsy Adelaide, he looked really sharp for us early. Then he got that nasty sort of hip pointer. He'll be fine, but we just didn't bring him back on. But you're right though. We can't rely on too few when we're playing our best footy. We're getting an even contribution from 22 players, or tonight 26 players. So you're happy with the way that we finished off that game.
Brenton, just on Sean McKernan, that gives you a nice selection headache with regard to forwards heading into round 1, I would have thought.
Yeah, you need competitions for spots to get the best out of individuals, and we'll certainly pick our best team available in round 1, and for some of those roles that'll come down purely to form. So we told our players that we wanted to get in winning form, make winning a habit, ensure that we don't flirt with our form going into the start of the season. We've got a tough road trip first up, which is Geelong at Kardinia Park. So even we play GWS in 12 days' time. We'll get close to our best team for that game. I'm not sure how many players will play yet, whether we reduce it back down to maybe 24 or 22, but we'll certainly be looking to play a really strong side in 12 days' time leading into GWS, and then of course round 1.
Would Pods be right to go, do you think?
Sorry?
Would Pods be right for that game?
He'll be fine, yeah. We could have used him again tonight. He got caught on the bench for about 10 minutes, and then when he came back on, it just seized up. So when you play with extra players on the bench, guys get caught sometimes, and those hip pointers, those bruised hips, they do seize up. So he was fantastic for us last week. Hasn't missed a training session all summer, so it was a smart decision to leave him off. And as we saw, we played McKernan some more minutes, and he was fantastic.
What do you do with a team when they play as sloppily as they did in the first half to actually have the change in them for the second half? And it wasn't just Adelaide. Carlton was playing as poorly in the first half too, but to actually get that demarcation and have them improve in the second half.
Yeah, my messaging at half-time was the good news is that's almost as bad as I've seen us play. And we're only a goal behind, I think, or maybe 10 points behind at half-time. So to play that sloppy, mistakes, all we need to do is to reset, and that's what good clubs do, that's what good players do, is as poorly as they've put in a performance at half-time, just to reset, come out fresh. And we saw that with a lot of players. A lot of our young kids, it was great to see their first or second efforts or contests after half-time were really strong, more like Crows. And to win by 38 points. It doesn't really matter the scoreboard in these games, but I think we saw the energy and the determination, to win tackles, win contested ball, win clearances all comprehensively is a good sign from a young club.
Brent, can you...
Yeah, good question. I mean, some guys, obviously, you're right in pen straight away. You know,
Yeah.
some of those guys through our midfield, you just put them in for round one. But I think there's healthy competition through most areas. You know, whether it's forward, whether it's in defence, across the wings. But yeah, I probably off the top of my head, I can't think of the guys that you'd be thinking. You know, these guys are really fighting for a spot. There's probably some obvious ones, which I'm sure you're right about, but. Yeah, there's probably, if I'm just going to guess, I'd say you'd probably say there's 12 or 13 guys who I would say have locked away a role for round one. The rest is up for training form and match form.
In terms of you as a coach, of looking at how that 22 could look in round one, are you comfortable that you've got some really good options to fill those last 9 spots, or
Yeah,
do you feel you're a bit behind like you might have been last year?
No, I think we've got the depth. I think what I've been happy with is these first few games we've played, our most important players, our senior guys, are in form, which is good. And we're seeing some young kids sort of step up in patches as well. So there's some young kids who'll be knocking the door down early in the season. So some of our more experienced senior guys obviously have to play well.
Brenton, how far off, I know it's a hard one, but how far off optimum are you? Like, 30, 40, you're still a fair way away, obviously, from where you want to get to?
Yeah, as coaches, we're always looking for perfection, but we never get it. But at the same time, for some of that game tonight, I really like what I saw. You know, you look at some of our systems and our structures, and you think, that's looking really good. That's looking really sharp. But we've got still, I think, about 3.5 weeks to prepare ourselves for round one. So in that time, we'll do a lot of match simulation drills. We've still got one more competitive hit out against another AFL side. But yeah, things really heat up now. We want to start the season well. As I said, round one's our primary focus, but we'll certainly tinker with a few more things leading into that game.
Matt Wright, Brenton, how well placed is he to take the next step in his game?
Well, 2012 was fantastic for Matty Wright. I thought he really just burst out and had a fantastic sort of almost, dominant season for us. He was great. At different times last year, he showed us that form again. But there was just inconsistencies, and his first 2 NAB Cup games have just been fantastic. You know, he's had, I think, 35 last week, another 29 or 30 tonight. So he's one that's really fighting to establish himself again in that midfield, and so far he's just been fantastic.
And can you talk a bit about how you used Patrick Dangerfield tonight? He, I guess, was quiet for 3 quarters, but really came alive in that fourth.
Yeah, he at different times he just looked like the Dangerfield we love. You know, he took marks forward, and he kicked into that man on the mark, for that goal, which was, I think it was 15 metres from goal. But Dangerfield's best is electric, and he's going to have a really good season, I'm sure. And at different times in these first 2 weeks, he's shown glimpses of that. But he gets tagged now every time he plays. He has someone playing on him, and he gets close attention, as I would if I was coaching against him. So he's going to have to learn to work his way through that as well. Thanks, guys.